Well, hello everyone to a French derby in Division 2. We are in the final week of the regular season and we have two competitors, Calamity, at very different kind of ends of the spectrum here at least. Tall started out pretty well but has a big slump for the little half of the season, and Plouky is the eternal drawer, so to speak, as we get into this one
Yeah,
between these two.
their average points, Plouky has a slight advantage. He is also still the person with the highest total score in Division 2 at this point. Tall with a decent average points, but a few hundred points behind. Both have had aces this season. Had perfect games, I meant to say, and yes, they also had aces. Pretty similar amount actually, with 21 for Tall and 22 for Plouky. But yeah, their position in the table is pretty far apart, but points wise, they're not too far apart actually.
Mhm.
You can see it kind of there on their record. Plouky has only won 3 games, while Tall is also has already got 5 wins. But of course, with the 5 draws for Plouky and a lot of bonus points as well, there, he's in second place. And if he can win this game, he's guaranteed a spot in the automatic promotion places. But even Tall still has a slight chance. If he wins this and other results go his way, he could also still make it at least to the promotion playoff, not necessarily to the automatic promotion spot.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And we're on a world map. Let's take a look at this one. A coastal world by mapper average score of just over 15,000. It's been played just over 11,000 times. Kind of small number of locations, only about 1,500 or so, which means you might get a few repeats if you practice enough in this one. But on a world map, it really comes down to kind of basic Geoguessr skill, Calamity.
Yeah, you actually pointed out the repeat. I had something interesting to say about that because usually when you talk about a country map, one of the dangers with a repeat can be, even though it might be slightly more likely, is that you don't quite remember where it was because, it looks like any other place in any given country, so it could be anywhere. So if you don't remember exactly where it was, you might struggle. But on a world map that only has about 1,500 locations, you're probably going to remember where repeats
Mm,
were much easier because, like, by country, you're only going to have like 10, 20, maybe 30 at most locations. So if you know, okay, I had this, and then you look at the coastline of the country again, it's probably going to come back to you where exactly it was. So much easier to remember repeats on world maps than in country maps, in my opinion.
yeah, definitely could be interesting, and definitely could be something where we could see both of them with near perfect scores for sure. Both of them have perfect games from their previous world maps, so we can see if they can repeat that feat here in this one. But if you can see from the explanation from Mapper himself, not really the best map to do that in. But who knows? They've got some very good players here. As we will jump into round number one and see what we get in this one.
Yep. And
And a
this
riff.
one, as you can see, Plouky zooming in, is actually the same round that Division 3 started with. Um, and Plouky's apparently played that seed. Toll hasn't. Um, so we're gonna watch his perspective mostly and see what he finds on this one.
Yeah. Merstrand. Pookie within about 20 seconds has pretty much got an ace sealed up. He has to remember exactly how to pinpoint this one, but
Mm, yeah,
there we
from
go,
what you've
sure
seen
enough.
so far, yeah, there's essentially you've cut it down to 2 countries at most, which is you're either in South Africa or Australia. But the more you see, kind of the B plus B sign, I think, is very typical for South Africa.
Mhm.
Um, so that already gives you the country essentially. And then you can just either search for more information or you could already just try and see if you can find the right place along the coastline. Because it does look like a pretty major city.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. You can start with those big towns and probably find what you're looking for right away. A couple beach names and a casino. So shouldn't be too hard to spot. The cruise on the coast. Oh, Africa Beach. There we go. That doesn't
I
tell you where we are.
think there might have been actually a phone number on that little sign that might have also given him the city he's in.
Mm.
but I don't think he saw it, or I don't even think he paid any attention to it. Otherwise, I would know and not just assume whether there was a phone number there.
Yep. Blue Waters Cafe, lots of restaurants along the coast. And he will zoom in along the coast looking for some kind of beach name he might be able to recognize. Oh, there we go. Not too hard to spot. And we start off in a little bit less populated stretch of that road, which does help.
Yeah, there's no actual side roads or anything to help you with pinpointing at your location, but there's a couple not too far down the road.
There's some turnoffs here, but they don't really appear on the map, which makes it a little bit harder. Needs to find those roads probably to his south, or find something to the north that he can use. There's a nice road off, which probably that student village.
Mm.
To move him up the road a bit.
I also went back to check the phone numbers, and I'm pretty sure they were cell phone numbers, so they wouldn't have given him the location anyway.
Yeah, you love that. You spend all that time practicing phone numbers, and all you ever see is cell phone numbers, and you're like, well, I know enough to know that that's worthless, which is always fun. It is going to be a bit tricky to pinpoint, but I think given the size of this map, he doesn't need to worry about it too much. But a lot on the line. I think Tall is probably more worried about stopping his recent run of form and not falling into the relegation spots than he is about trying to make sure he gets promoted here. An ace for him, though, will keep this round all even after one.
Not the most difficult round, and of course with Plouky having it be a repeat makes it even easier.
Well, let's jump into round number 2 then and see what we've got. And not too different from the last one.
It is a very, like, for those who practiced California, it is a very typical sort of Southern California coastline. There's a lot of major cities along that coast, though.
Yeah. 2 urban locations. Didn't make it the most difficult.
Village of Carlsbad is what Plouky just saw there.
Norte Cafe.
If you didn't know you were in Carlsbad yet, there's Carlsbad Boulevard, and there's another massive sign that tells you you're in Carlsbad.
Yeah. Plenty of those. Also seen all those signs. City of Carlsbad, California.
Yep.
24-hour response vehicle. That'll help. Now, where is it?
And there it is.
There it is.
Well, you went past it, but there it was.
Yeah, this is not Northern California. That's for sure. Too sunny and too warm to be Northern California.
Too populated.
Yeah. Well, I mean, San Diego's pretty dense, but the beach does not look like this.
Well, San Diego's not in the north.
Yeah, so definitely Plouky getting the better signs here. Tall. Haven't quite figured anything out yet. Still 2 minutes to go, though.
And
yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, then Carlsbad Boulevard does touch the coastline. And finding a cross street shouldn't be too hard. Thankfully, America labels everything. And an ace for him as well. I got to be really on top of it because Plouky is not going to give me much. There we go. 2 meters away. Walnut and Carlsbad will give all a few seconds behind. Plouky, the location. And an ace for him. 2 meters exactly. Same distance away for him. But again, 2 rounds, 2 pretty straightforward ones. Nothing too challenging yet to separate these two.
We'll see if it gets more interesting. I mean, I'm assuming it gets more interesting because it can't really get less interesting.
Yeah, it's, there's some signs at the beginning, and here you go. We'll get into round number 3 here. And slightly more interesting.
Yeah, got a bit more interesting. We're still in the English-speaking world,
Yeah.
but
3
not
out of 3
in
for our 2 French speakers.
at least not in a major city this time.
Yeah.
Paul's going east, Plouky heading west.
See slightly different things.
Plouky's decided to not go west anymore.
Let's give
Now
it
we're gonna follow into Tor's footsteps. And Tor's found some signs at least. Not amazingly helpful just yet.
Nothing yet for either of them. They actually have to move quite a bit on this round. There we go, and sure enough, that New Zealand vibe is confirmed by the sign.
There's a few directions and distances to some other towns. Plouky's also slowly making his way there.
Ipara. Taia.
That was a very Japanese pronunciation of that New Zealand town.
Polynesian phonetics is almost identical to Japanese phonetics. So you read them in sets of 2. I lived in Hawaii long enough to be able to read it. I mean, the different Polynesian languages aren't exactly the same, but if I read it sort of like I think Hawaiians would read it, it's not too far off, and it's good enough for Tall, who finds it on the coast of New Zealand there. The Hay Road. And Plouky, not too far behind, is going to zoom in and start to scan the coastline himself, looking for these town names. And again, knowing we're on the coast definitely helps. Just follow that until you see something.
Yeah. And
there we go.
New Zealand
as well.
Yeah, New Zealand does have quite a long coast, but you know, with the directionality as well, you don't really have to check too much, and you should have enough time if one of the cities does stand out, as it does here, to find the right place.
Yeah, I think Plouky searched the entire sort of western coast, so to speak, of New Zealand, and it took him about 10 seconds to do it. Maybe 15. So even in Division 2, plenty of time. Both of them in a very similar spot. In that little sandy bar curve.
It should be close enough for a perfect score here. At least Tall definitely is. Yeah, Plouky is as well.
You do have to remember that it is a world map, so a little bit lenient in terms of points.
Yeah, Tall's not quite in the right place, but yeah, he's definitely close enough.
And yep, a little bit further away than Plouky, but still good enough after 3 rounds. Perfect from all of them, Calamity. So a bit trickier, but still not that bad for them as we'll get ready into round number 4.
Yeah, they've got 2 more rounds to go. We'll see if there's something more, well, non-English coming up.
Yeah, they'll be hoping for maybe a French coastline, something they can put their language skills to use, their native language skills to use at least, as we get into round number 4.
It's not French, but it's also not English.
Yep. That's something.
It's something at least.
There's a truck right there. And we'll get some Spanish. So a sister language to French, so it shouldn't be too bad. There's a nice sign right there that Tall almost completely missed.
Yep, Puntilla de Santa Elena.
But so far, I wouldn't say we're confident which country this is, though. I mean, my guess would be Argentina, but I don't think we've really got enough to, other than just the fact that we've got a coastline and some Spanish.
Your guess would be wrong. Yeah, it's on kind of a bit on the wrong side of the coast. for it to be Argentina. But there you go. That sign gives you everything you need. I was looking at the wrong country, but
About to say, is this Chile?
no,
Didn't believe him.
you shouldn't. You've got the flag of the country there, down there. The problem you've got with this usually is that Ecuador and Colombia have the same flag colors. So on a sign like this, it actually doesn't tell you which of the two it is. But I think this
Does Tall just see the
designed with
red and blue and just assume that it's got to be a Chilean sign because of that combination? And then
maybe
he hasn't looked at the top left corner has the symbol, and as Plouky looks at the sign as well.
finally tolls in Ecuador.
And
And
Plouky goes to
Plouky goes to Mexico with it. Sure.
So, okay. So, giving our two Frenchmen something to think about.
Over to Peru. Okay.
Not quite. That doesn't quite look right either. Now we'll settle in. And maybe not.
Maybe. Maybe not. All right.
Yeah, I didn't think it was Chile, and I was thinking long coastline, maybe Argentina, but no, that's logo and sign definitely fit Ecuador.
Yeah. Usually the flag of the country on a sign should tell you which country you might be in.
And Paul will get an ace in this one. So unlike our previous matchup, this is not a playoff. This is a regular season match, which means draws are possible within 100 points. So a few points dropped here from Plouky. Won't be the end of the world with 20 seconds left, but he isn't even in the right country yet.
He is now.
There we go. And
bit lucky there at the end.
He should recognize that long, straight road along the coast and the nice corner. So with about 10 seconds left, he will put himself in a decent position. As long as he doesn't click again. Oh, he clicked back. So only drops 1 point. It could have been a lot worse, but it could have been even better. Gave up that ace for the last second adjustment. So 1 point drop from him, taking them down to the wire, Calamity, but they both found it in the end. So
yeah, when I played this, I didn't think. I thought maybe this round could be a bit of an issue if you travel the wrong direction, just into the middle of nowhere to the south. I didn't think it would be a problem once you found the sign that basically tells you exactly where you are, but apparently it was. And yeah, really cutting it close there, Plouky.
Definitely, as we'll get ourselves set up and into round number 5 here. And here we go.
Yep. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yes. Yeah, I was about to say it's kind of Spanish in an Southeast Asian looking country. It's going to be the Philippines.
Yeah.
And Filipino on the sign as well for tall.
Yeah, but being the Philippines is pretty obvious, but from then on, it's going to be interesting. I wonder what Plouky is already looking for.
I don't know. He didn't see much.
He didn't really see anything.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't advise anyone to go look for the right coastline in all of the Philippines.
Barangay Cabao officials. I don't know. That might be something.
Yeah, barangay is pretty much I think the smallest administrative area in the Philippines. So it's like similarly to like a village. So chances that you're gonna find it are close to 0, not exactly 0, but not very far above it. But it does tell you at least, okay, you're in Gabao village. The thing is with barangays, they most of the time don't even show up as town names. They are just like POIs usually, where it's like, hey, here's Gabao school and here's Gabao church. But yeah, Tall looking at another sign that tells him more of the same essentially. What they're both kind of looking for would be a region, or at least like a province or something like that.
Something, yeah. But definitely this seed saving the best for last, so to speak. Only 1 point separating them into the first 4 rounds, and with the coastline and the small nature of the little town we're in, could see definitely 100 points drop from either one of them here.
You could see well over that as well.
Yeah. Or we could see another there we go. That looks like something Paul wants to try to find, at least.
That actually, Ilocos is actually a region. Now, whether Toll knows that or not is a different question. He might know it is a region, but he might not know where it is, or he might just not know that it is a region. Considering how he's not checking the regions, I'm assuming he doesn't know it's a region.
Yeah, I think he's just hoping that one of these names on the sign is big enough that he spots it. Both of them in a bit of a loss at what to do. With about 30 seconds left.
From what I remember, you could maybe spot Santiago if you get really lucky. If you're just looking for towns, because that's the only town that's on there. Obviously, if you knew that Ilocos was the region, that'd be the obvious thing to look for, even if you don't know where it is. For me personally, when I looked at that same sign, as well, I'll talk about that later because time's running out, but it doesn't seem like either of them are particularly close.
So it'll come down to, and they're practically identical in how far away they were from the location. 2,942 points for Tall, but 2,969 points for Plouky. Means this is a draw. After all that work and both of them not finding the round, they were equally bad in the 5th round and will share the points in this one, Calamity.
Yep, they'll each get 1 point. And yeah, as you could see there at the end, Santiago was technically findable if you looked in the right place. But yeah, when I looked at that sign, for some reason I didn't really register for me in my head that it said Ilocos. Like I couldn't quite read it. Like if you had asked me, hey, is Ilocos a region in the Philippines? I would have said, yeah, of course. But at the same time, if you give me that sign, I might not recognize it as one either. And yeah, they both kind of went sort of the middle of the Philippines, a bit too far south actually for the middle, but in the same place essentially. So 1 point for each.
Yeah. 22,942 for Tall to finish things up. 22,968 for Plouky. Means Plouky takes the win in name only. They'll share the points in this one. And that means probably Plouky's got a good chance at being in that playoff spot. Promotion playoff spot for Division 2, and Tall will have to settle for another season in Division 2, Calamity.
Yeah, as the results happened and as they turned out, Plouky did end up in 3rd place, did drop out of the promotion play out of the automatic promotion spots at the end. Tall could have actually, if Tall had just, placed his pin about 20-30 kilometers further north and had gotten those 200 points more, Tall would have also been in the promotion playoff alongside Plouky. So that's a bit unfortunate for him because essentially neither of them knew anything in round 5, or well, neither of them knew anything that helped them.
Was so that essentially it was how things were across the board for Division 2. Yeah, was that 5th round was the big decider?
Yeah. Don't think anyone really had many problems. I think there were a couple people who struggled a bit with New Zealand or Ecuador. But yeah, round 5 was definitely the decider. I don't think there was anyone that 5K'd. I think there were like 2 people. I think it was Teskotak and Clyde who managed to find the right location essentially. But no one managed to 5K. Most people were just decided to hedge it somewhere in the middle of the Philippines.
Okay, very nice. Well, congrats to Plouky and good luck in your playoff promotion matchup next week. And unfortunately for Tall, that slump at the end of the season will cost him his chances to join, I believe, you, Calamity, in Division 1 next season, along with the other players. So we will see you all for those promotion and relegation fights in Division 2 and 3, as well as the beginning of the championship run for Division 1 next week. So if you don't want to miss those, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you all then. Take care.
Bye.